Hello and welcome to another live stream broadcast of our weekly devotional here at New Covenant United Methodist Church. I want to begin by apologizing for the tardiness of this devotional. Typically we have our devotionals on Monday, but unfortunately I have been sick all week long with a stomach bug, but praise the Lord, I am feeling better now, and I wanted to take an opportunity to just send you a few words for this devotional this week that hopefully will help you in your coming week, and will just add to what our next devotion will be coming from our next laity member. So it is Women's History Month, and in honor of that, I wanted to talk about the women that have been inspiring to us as we go forth in our Christian journey. The Word tells us what God expects of godly women, and we find that in the Proverbs 31 kind of woman. So I just want to take an opportunity to just look at Proverbs 31 and see how is that relevant for us today. What is that perspective from today's modern woman? What is that perspective from a man's point of view? And what is that perspective from a teenager's point of view? So we're just going to delve into that really quickly and hope that God will move and the Holy Spirit will inspire our words and our tongues, and that you will find a little comfort and spirit moving in the Word that can help you build your relationship with Christ. So I want to begin by reading Proverbs 31. So it's a little lengthy, so just bear with me. The wife of noble character. The wife of noble character, who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships, bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it out of her earnings. She plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed, and she is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies them with merchants with sashes. She is clothed in strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gates. This has been the word of the Lord for the blessed people of God. Thanks be to God. So, how does this Proverbs 31 woman relate to the 21st century kind of woman? So let's look at this one. The first verse says, the wife of a noble character, who can find? So, does this woman exist today? So, what are your thoughts? Aiden, what do you think? Do you think this kind of woman exists today?
Probably, yeah.
And what respect? How do you think this woman, how do we see her today?
Someone who values taking care of other people above, like they value a good personality over how they look.
So as a young woman, how do you see yourself as the Proverbs 31 kind of woman? What do you see in yourself as God describes this woman? How do you see yourself in her?
Uh,
You want to reflect on the scripture?
yeah.
Okay. Well, while she's looking,
Yes.
honey, what do you think? Do you think this the Proverbs 31 woman exists in the 21st century?
Yes, I do think she exists. I think that she exists every time you see a first responder, every time you see an elder. And people say, well, elders aren't as involved now in children's lives as they used to be. Well, in some instances, that's true. But the true elders that you see in the churches, the true elders that you see who are out volunteering, that are substitute teachers, that are like I said, first responders, those that are coming up and they're becoming preachers, that they know that their influence is key because the main way that you can become something is that you have to have an example. And there are a lot of good people out here, but no doubt about it, you have to have an example. And they're everywhere you look. These are people who are not looking for recognition. These are the people who are not looking for themselves to be filled with accolades and everything else. It's all about them giving and giving unselfishly. And one of the key people that we've seen, besides my wonderful wife here, is Michelle Obama. She was the true embodiment. Not only was she a first lady of the United States, that being her title position, she was first wife, she was first mother, and she did all she could to give back to the community. She did all she could to give a key and great representation of what a true woman should be. She managed her household affairs. She managed the world affairs that she was given charge of. And also, too, she never forgot who God was. So truly, she was a godly woman. She was a great representative for African American women and for households everywhere. And Brock can tell you that he couldn't have made it without her. So truly, she was she epitomized what it should be. And I know that one day, Aiden, you're gonna grow up to be just like that.
Yeah, I love that you talked about Michelle Obama as the Proverbs 31 kind of woman.
Yes.
When we talk about women's liberation and women's rights, we talk about making sure the woman puts herself first. But the word tells us that a truly godly woman, she takes care of her business, but the needs of her husband and her family come first. And I think that Michelle Obama has shown us how those two worlds are able to merge. You can be successful as a businesswoman, as a woman who makes sure that she makes her own coins.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
takes care of business. She's a boss in the world, but she also knows that she has to take care of her husband. She has to take care of her family, and they take precedence over everything. I think
Yep.
she's a great representation of that.
Absolutely.
So, Aiden, have you found something that you saw about yourself in the Proverbs 31 kind of woman?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that she can laugh at the days to come part.
So, what do you think that means when she can laugh at the days to come?
As in, you're able to come over like rough areas, like dark places. You know that like it's gonna get over. You're gonna be fine, and so you can just laugh at that.
So, well, I think that's interesting. I see a lot working in the school system that kids are dealing with anxieties and stressors that even when we were kids, we didn't have to deal with. And of course, our parents and grandparents did not have to deal with the different kinds of stresses that are on our lives. But, in the word, it tells us that a Proverbs 31 kind of woman is able to laugh at that. So Aiden, how can you and other young women how do you deal with the stressors of the world that we live in today and know that God is going to be able to allow you to just lay it with him, to give it to him, and you don't have to be burdened with it anymore. So how can y'all deal with that now?
Just know that like it's gonna pass. You're young. You have like years and years and years and years and years left. So like everything gets better with time.
Okay. So is it a faith kind of thing? Do you think that you have to be a Christian to be um, confident and secure in knowing that things will get better, that the burdens can be you can let go of the burdens? Do you have to be a Christian to be able to do that?
No, not really.
So expound on that. What do you mean by that?
Like again, it's just with like time. Things will get better with time. usually like you should probably get help with it if it's like really really serious. But like things will always get better with time, whether you're like a Christian or not.
Okay. Do you think that having a relationship with Jesus and being able to pray about it and let it go, do you think that makes the stresses of life easier?
Probably yeah, because there's that like instant belief in it that it's going to get better.
Yeah, I like that. And, and I like that you talked about, getting help, Um, we always want to pray about the issues that we're going through, but, God has placed people in our lives and in this world to help us on those big situations that we can't deal with on our own. So in addition to having a good prayer life, we can look out for doctors and psychiatrists and other adults who can help us get through those things. So yeah, you're never alone. I think that's what you're trying to say is that you don't have to deal with it alone. You have Jesus and you have the people that He's placed in our lives to help through that. Okay, so I want to go back and pick up another few key points in this Proverbs 31 kind of woman. So we know that we can find her.
Yeah.
Is she hard to find?
Yeah. Yeah, you were hard to find.
Maida, do you think a good woman is hard to find?
No, there's like billions, trillions of women.
But is a good woman hard to find?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. All right. So the next part says her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. And so I think this says a lot about more about the husband than it does about the wife, in that he trusts her and understands that he would not be the success that he is without the support of his wife. So what do you think about that, Christopher?
Yeah, well, I once heard it quoted, and I cannot remember exactly which celebrity it was, but he talked about that here he was on his second marriage, and that his new wife, they had been married now for 15 years, that she made his life and his job easier. And so therefore he was able to be a better man of God. He was able to uh, not necessarily just lead, but also to be a better person in general. As men, we often have a hard time submitting. I mean, no doubt about it. If you read in the Bible, you see where men have had a hard time submitting to God. Well, when it comes to our marriages, often, there are times we don't want to take our wife's advice, or we limit the amount that we're willing to let her minister to us. Because she's been brought in to minister to us. She's been brought in to bring us that second perspective, that when we see it one way and we're, ready to go into it full fledged, she's that voice of reason. She's that part of Jesus that says, hey, look at it from this point of view, outside of what the world is saying that you need to look at it as. So, indeed, as a man, I can tell you that, sometimes my ego gets in the way, and sometimes my wife has to tell me, Christopher, think of it like this or see it like that, because if you only see it one way, you'll never look at both sides. And truly, having a good woman gives you that perspective that you don't have to see everything in a full-fledged, okay, I got to get it done now. Sometimes you have to slow down, break it down, and actually understand it from a different point of view. And I'll tell you, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I don't want to give in. I don't want to, I don't want to do that. But it's the best thing for me, because that makes me a better, well-rounded person, and I'm able to fully function in the way that God would have me to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can remember when my first marriage. I was 25, and we had a bridal shower, and my mom and my aunts and the family friends, the older women, they were giving me marriage advice, and I think it was Wangali who told me that the man is the head, but the wife is the neck, and she's able to turn the husband any way she wants to. And I think it's important to make sure that, I always thought that, I've never be that wife who follows her husband blindly because he's not telling me where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do, So it's important. I have to trust you. If I'm going to follow you, I got to trust you.
Yeah.
But my husband has to trust that when I turn him, that I'm going to turn in the right direction, and
Yeah.
the direction is going to be one that God would have us to go.
Absolutely.
So, Aiden, when you get married, do you want, how do you feel about putting the needs of your partner above your own? How do you feel about that?
I think it should be more uh, equal, maybe. Like, of course, it's important to value the needs of your partner, but like, I don't want to have that be the only thing to value. Like, you should value yourself and other people on the same level.
Okay. So what? Okay. So I'm gonna give you the scenario. You're down to your last chicken nugget. All right. You've had three. Your partner's had three. Down to one chicken nugget left. The Proverbs 31 woman would give her partner that chicken nugget. What would you do?
I'd split it in half. That way we both.
Well, she probably would do that too, because that's resourcefulness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Um, so we're going to go ahead and move forward. The next section, I'll move on, skip on down to this is verse 15. It says, she gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. I think that's indicative of most mothers in that, there's so much behind the scenes work to being a wife and being a mother that I think a lot of people just take for granted, that, she makes sure that, um, things are taken care of. Even if she's not the one who's cooking or cleaning, she makes sure that happens, And I think that so often we take that kind of stuff for granted because I can, becoming a mother helped me reflect on how much my mother actually did in the home that I took for granted. I never had to worry about if there were groceries in the house. I never had to worry if there was running water in the house. Never had to worry about if there was clean clothes in the house because my mom took care of that. She knew that was going to be taken care of. I would have to say, I'm out of X, Y, or Z, and magically it appeared, I just,
Yeah.
had to say I'm running out. Or most often the time, she would notice we were running low before we even ran out.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of resourcefulness and that proactive thinking is something that all women have to develop at some point.
Yeah.
So do you want to reflect on that?
Yeah. I'm the youngest of nine, and every how could you put it? Everything that you could imagine that you could see from your kids, my mom saw from all of us. And she'd always say that, there was always two kids per every room because there were so many. Now, of course, but I'm 8 years from the youngest. So, I am the youngest, but the next youngest to me is 8 years older, my brother Jeff. And so I didn't have to go through the things that they went through with sharing. My mom used to have to take just a little bit of something and turn it into a whole lot. And that truly showed her resourcefulness, but also too the fact that my dad was in the Navy and he would send the money home, and he knew that mom could manage it. He knew that mom would be able to pay the bills and she would be able to take care of all of us, and that she'd be able to do it in a very very contentious time, because this was during the Vietnam War, and of course, everything was crazy at that time. So you imagine if you're off somewhere and you're having to serve in the military, and you don't know if you're going to come back home, but yet you know that your spouse is there and they're holding it down, they're taking care of it, and because she was able to hold it down, uh, me and my brothers and sisters, we were able to hold it down. And there's not too many things that we've seen that we cannot be prepared for. One of the main things that mom always said is to be prepared and to be able to understand what you've been through. Not necessarily saying, okay, that you got it mastered, but understand that this was a test from God and that your next test is going to be reflective of this test. It won't be the same, but you'll be prepared for it because God already brought you through it. So yeah, I think that both our mothers, prepared us for a lot of things, and some things they could see and some things they couldn't see. But um, yeah, I can truly tell you that without strong mothers in the household, a family unit would not be able to stand because that's mother's the foundation.
Right. And I think that single mothers in particular have to develop this skill of being proactive in making sure that the needs of the household are met and to think ahead. You have to think steps ahead. You don't think about today because you thought about today last week.
Yeah.
You got to think about a weekend ahead. And I think that um, that's something that um, not necessarily is taught. I think, like you said, experience
Yeah.
teaches you that, so, you learn early, you have to budget or, your lights is going to get turned off,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to have the money to pay your rent, you're not going to have no gas money to get back and forth to work. You
Yeah.
have to plan ahead and budget and be proactive in your life. Especially when you don't have somebody else to lean on. If you don't have that partner, if you don't have that husband, if you don't have that boyfriend, that spouse, to lean on. You have to be that ever more Boy Scout ready for
Yeah.
whatever can happen. So, Aiden, how do you think, as a teenager, as a young woman, you can emulate this proactive? I have a plan. I'm thinking ahead. What do you think?
Um, Getting my schoolwork done. Like beta club and student council is another one where you can like take action, be active. Being active in your community, like, helping people out that way.
Okay. Do you think that I know that you struggle with time management. Do you think that as you get older, do you think you'll go closer to this Proverbs 31 kind of woman and being able to plan out your time better and being able to use your resources more wisely?
Yeah.
Why do you think maturity is going to make a difference?
Cause like that's part of maturity, being able to manage your time, being able to grow into an adult.
Okay.
Cause you're not.
Okay. All right. So let's go back to the text. Um, She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. I know that in my household, growing up, we didn't have a lot, but my mom always made it known that we were givers. That's what we did. We didn't. If we had stuff that we didn't need anymore, we didn't sell it. We gave it away. Because even if it wasn't expressed, it was known that we were blessed so that we can be a blessing to somebody else. And if we have to give. You could feed, if you could feed four, you could feed six. You just spread it out. And I think that giving nature that was, it was imprinted on all of us, me and Chas and Anthony, have that giving kind of spirit. And I hope that I have imparted that on both my girls, that, it is better to give than to receive, and I think that too often this world is about the mighty dollar, and we forget that, there's somebody who could use that. There's somebody who could need that, even if they don't ask for it, we have to offer to help and give. And sometimes it just takes putting it in their hand and say, here, this is for you. God told me to give this to you.
Yeah.
I can remember many years ago that this was way before I met you, and I was a single mom with two kids, and I was struggling. I was struggling hard, and Linda gave me money, and I did not have the money to pay my electric bill, and she gave me the money to pay my electric bill. And I will never, ever, ever forget that because she said God had laid that on her heart to give that to me. And I pray that I will be in a position that I can do that for some other young mother who's struggling, or some young man who's struggling. It just, you just never know how you can be a blessing to somebody. And Linda, if you're watching, I love you, and I so still appreciate that. You were an angel to me, and I pray that I can be an angel to somebody else. But that giving kind of spirit, that willingness to give of yourself, it doesn't always have to be about money. It's just your time. It's your attention. When that friend who calls you all the time and annoys you, still, try to take time. And I'm bad about this for not answering those phone calls. So I'm tired. If I had a long day at work, I won't be on the phone. But to take time and give of yourself, because you never know what a person might need. So
Yeah,
what
that's
what
true.
what are your reactions and experiences with a giving spirit?
Well, I mean, I was fortunate and blessed. I mean, my mom gave everything that she had, and of course I had, my aunts and whatnot, who always spoiled me 'cause I was the baby, so they give me pretty much anything I wanted, and even things I didn't want, especially during Easter. But I can't help but think about history. I can't help but think about Harriet Tubman. I mean, you're talking about a giver.
Right.
Here was a woman who basically she had achieved her freedom. Okay. And at that point, like most of us, you have to be honest. You achieve your freedom, you've gone through all these different things. You're right, you're ready to settle back and just take care of you. What did she do? No. She
She
came
went
back.
back. Yeah.
She went back and she got her people and brought them back up. And she kept getting more and more and more and more people. And she was, just pivotal to the success of the Underground Railroad. But also too, not only did she do that, she gave food and clothes to those who were poor and who were indigent. Then she served the country. What you think about it? Okay, she's already a wanted woman. They're already out to kill her, but yet she was willing to become a spy, which means she had to go right back down to the South in disguise and to report. She could have just said, you know what, I'm just gonna go stay in Philadelphia or Canada and be fine with it. But no, she gave and gave and gave. So not only did she give to her family, not only did she give to her people, but also too she gave to her country to the very end. And that's admirable. That's admirable. I mean, Harriet Tubman, there will never be another Harriet Tubman.
Right.
But we pray every day there will never have to be another Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
That the freedoms and liberties that women have fought for in this country, that those freedom and liberties will stand true and that they will only get better.
Right.
Because it's not over yet. It's
Right.
not over yet.
And I think women, and I think women of color in particular, I think that we are taught to be givers. I think that um, because so often we have less to start out with, um, we are taught that I have to share, I have to give, that because somebody gave to me, I've got to give back. And I think that women of color, I think that we are just innately taught that generation after generation after generation that we have to give back because somebody gave to us. So Aiden, I said, talking about having a giving nature, how do you think that is reflective of young women today? Do you think that you have a giving nature?
Well, yeah, we're very likely to share things with each other. If somebody needs something, they're always gonna ask. Like friend groups, they're very, hey, how are you? Good, good. Do you need anything? Like we're very giving and
Outside of your circle, though, do you feel like do you feel the need to give outside of your circle? Like, do you feel like do you feel the need to help people in your community, help people in the world, to help disadvantaged? Do you feel like it's your responsibility to take care of them? Are you your brother's keeper?
yeah, like that's also in not even just friend groups like clashing and stuff like that. It's like if you need a pencil, There's a bunch of people who have a pencil. They'll ask, and you'll help out. You're like whenever a kid's like sick, there's always like a bunch of kids like taking care of them. It's cool.
What about you personally? How do you see that in yourself?
I'd say I'm pretty giving.
How do you think that you're a giving person?
If somebody's missing something, I'll let them borrow something of mine.
Do
I try
you
to
offer or do you wait till they ask?
I offer.
Okay. All right.
And Aiden never eats the last burger or hot dog. She always saves that.
And I will. I'd like to say, that both my girls are very giving, loving girls. I thank God for that. They do have very giving spirits, and particularly with their friends. They are giving, and they want to make sure that their chosen family, their circle of friends, they're taken care of. And they know that if there's something they have they don't need, they give it away, and they find somebody who does need it and take advantage of it. So I thank God that I have been given daughters who have learned that and who carry on with that. Um, so the last thing I want to talk about, I know we could talk about this for forever, but this is supposed to be quick. Um, I like the part where it says, her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. So, um, let's talk about her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, he praises her. Um, so, um, God is saying that, your Proverbs 31 kind of woman, you don't necessarily have to see it in what she does, but you see it in her children and you see it in her husband, and the way that they speak about her. So, talk about some of the women in your life who have been Proverb 31 kind of women that you can, um, lift up and just say that, you looked at them as godly women who God had called them to be, and they personified this Proverbs 31 kind of woman.
Well, once again, I've been blessed with plenty of examples, but three of them come to mind. My sisters, Stephanie, Thomasine, and Joanne. Uh, they've always given a great example of what women should be. My older sister Thomasine, for a long time she was a police officer and a school resource officer. I mean, she really cared about the kids that she worked with, and she always did the best she could to give back to her community. And her whole thing was she knew that they needed somebody. Mm-hmm. That she always ran into a bunch of kids that didn't have a good example, that didn't have a nurturing. And so she was a nurturing, caring person. She was a mother personified in a uniform. And for a lot of kids, she made a difference. She made a difference between them choosing jail or life. And that's pretty critical when you're talking about being in the city of Norfolk, a city that basically can forget about you in a heartbeat, because there's so many people there. Then there's my sister Joanne, who she's been a evangelist for quite a while, and for Joanne, she's taken her calling one day at a time. She's never hesitated to tell people about the Lord and make disciples of Christ, even when her situations weren't favorable. And right now, she's of course dealing with different various ailments, but she still keeps herself upbeat. She's still ready to serve the Lord in a heartbeat. She will give you a sermon in a heartbeat, but it'll be a sermon that's on time because she seeks God first, and then she lets her own inhibitions come in last. Because she learned a long time ago that fearing man and fearing God is not the same thing. Man can do so many things to you, but God can take you to that next level whenever he wants to. Then there's my sister Stephanie, who was she was a caregiver for a long time at a nursing home, and so she's seen a lot of things. Stephanie was a great influence to me because I ended up working at Western Long Hospital, the most Cone Hospital back in Greensboro. And Stephanie, she worked at Evergreens Nursing Home, and she used to, tell me about that. You'd see people in their rawest stage in the hospitals and nursing homes, and I didn't know that till I started working. And she always said, when you see somebody, you should treat them like they're your mother or they're your father. And seeing that perspective, that changed my whole way of thinking because I'm thinking, okay, these people, they're here and maybe they put themselves here, maybe they drink themselves to death, smoke themselves to death, or they're on drugs or whatever. It did not matter. Just the fact is that they were in need, and that was my opportunity to minister to them. Whether I brought them their lunch trays or I did their medical record or whatever, I just went in there and prayed with them. That was the opportunity to minister to them. And I'm grateful and blessed to have three sisters who have always loved and cared about me. When my mom passed away 23 years ago, they stepped up to be the mother that I still miss today. And I just want to say, Thomasine, Joanne, and Stephanie, Thomasine and Stephanie, of course, on Facebook. I'm grateful for y'all because without y'all, I wouldn't be teaching special needs kids today in school. Y'all had patience with me, and I know I drove you crazy, but y'all always been a great example. And I could see mom flowing through y'all, and because I could see her flowing through y'all, I knew that, angels are real. Angels are truly, truly real.
It's beautiful. All right, Aiden, who are some of the Proverbs 31 kind of women in your life?
My marvelous mother right here. She is very much a Proverbs woman. She takes care of her family before everything. Everything. A lot of things. Like very many things.
So who else, Aiden?
My mother's mother. My grandmother.
Okay, so how does Nanny do it?
She steps up and gets the family together.
Okay. What about young women who you think in your life, some friends in your life who do you think are Proverbs 31 kind of women?
Kamala Harris.
Okay, I was thinking personal, but yes, I think Kamala Harris is a Proverbs 31 kind of woman. But what about people in your life?
Esther.
Okay, so tell us about Esther, because we met Esther at the essay competition, and so how does Esther inspire you? Esther Amaya Perez. Okay.
She's very on top of it, she's inspirational. She
Okay.
inspires her class to get their work done.
Okay.
She's very responsible.
So do you think that you would use her as a role model? You would like to be more like Esther, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that I have been truly blessed, like Christopher was talking about women in his life. I was born into a family of strong Black women, and I count myself truly blessed to be in such a family. My great grandmother showed me what it meant to be a strong woman, a godly woman. My aunts, my great aunts, my great aunt Vidi, who lived right down the street from my grandmother, um, um, showed me, what a godly woman was like. My mother continues every day, and I'm so blessed to still have my mom with me, to show me what a godly woman was, a woman who puts the needs of her family first. My aunts, my aunt Nancy, who we lost several years ago, she still inspires me, because the love that she had for her family and her friends just exuded out of every single pore of her being, and to know Nancy was to love her, and I would love to have that, be a part of our family and our home. I would hope that, my nieces would look to me that way. And, I look at my Aunt Tanita, godly woman, a strong woman. I look at my sister, who has raised my niece to be at 21 years old, raised her by herself, and to raise a strong, independent woman like that, and she did it alone. Um, it's commendable. My sister, she's always worked. She has her own home, a car. She's being successful. It's not to say that it's been easy. It's been hard. It's been very hard. But Chas has persevered. And I'm so happy to have a twin sister um, who emulates the strength that we have from the women in our family. And to look at my dad's side of the family, looking at, my Aunt Peaches and my Aunt Nancy and my Aunt Pat, all godly women who um, are, inspirational, that teach you that you have to pray through things and you have to pray for your family and make sure that family's number one. I think if the Dixon family had a motto, it would be family first. And even just people who are not blood relatives, but just who have been, absorbed into the Jones family, like my girls didn't realize, Aja didn't realize that Wagalee Thomas wasn't one of her aunts until she was in college, and because, it was such an ingrained part of, she was a part of our family. And I thank God for having women like Wangali Thomas in my life, and having Beverly Battle Alexander in my life. These women, again, they're just godly women, strong women who I grew up with, who I could look toward. Any area of my life that I felt that I was lacking in, I could look at women in my life and say, okay, that's how you're supposed to do it. That's what that looks like. That's how I'm supposed to do it. So I'm truly, truly blessed to have these strong women in my life, and to have women I can turn into. I can't even fathom. I'm trying to list all the women in our church family who I can depend on. We have an amazing group of strong women at New Covenant United Methodist Church, and I know without a shadow of a doubt, I can pick up a phone and I can call any of them. I can call LaDonna, I can call Tammy, I can call, a First Lady. I mean, these women, I can just pick up a phone. Miss Ernestine, I just, Miss Sylvia, these strong women who are embodiment of that Proverbs 31 kind of woman. We're so blessed to have them in our lives. So I'm just thankful for that. And closing out, and again, y'all, like I said, I could speak on this forever. I think it's probably going to be a sermon sometime at one point. Um, Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And I want to stop with that one. I think that the key to being that Proverbs 31 kind of woman is to put God first, to know that He is the head of everything, and we could be nothing without Him. You you are a woman just because God chose you to put you in that body that you came in. You're a woman because that was by His design. If you were a mother, that was His design. If you are a wife, if you are a partner, if you're a girlfriend, that's through His design. Everything you are is because God allowed it to happen, and He directed your path. So I think the key to that Proverbs 31 kind of woman is to put God first. So on this Women's History Month, I encourage all of you who are listening, not just the women, the men too, take time to give your love, bless the roses of the living, um, take time to just say thank you to the women in your life who have helped you along the way, who have molded you and guided you and steered you on the right path so that you would be the person of God that you are today. Take time to acknowledge them, and take time to remember those that you've lost who've gone on to glory. who also helped you. Don't forget them, because they're always going to be a part of us. So take time to remember them and reflect upon them. And also, I encourage you, women, reach out to the younger generation. You don't have to have a child at home to make a difference in a child's life. If it could be a neighbor's kid, it could be a kid at your church, it could be a coworker's child. When you see there's a need there, be that role model for that young woman who doesn't have it. Be that light of a Proverb 31 kind of woman until they can be that light for themselves. Young women, I charge you, find a mentor in your life, so who can to help you and guide you to be that Proverbs 31 kind of woman. And actually aspire to be that Proverbs 31 kind of woman. Be that kind of woman that God has called you to be and He wants you to be. Life is so much sweeter with Him in it. So I just want to close with that. I want to say thank you for giving of your time. I know this was a very long devotional, but I hope that you got something out of it. I would love for you to add some comments below after you watched it. Mention some of the Proverbs 31 kind of women in your life. Mention maybe some of those characteristics that you would like God to help you with, because I know that there are some of those characteristics that I wish I could have more of. I'm a huge procrastinator, and I would love for God to allow me to be a better Proverbs 31 kind of woman, and help me to be a more goal oriented instead of getting it done at the last minute. I mean, it gets done, but I get done at the last minute. But so just comment. This is interactive. This is not just you sitting here in front of a screen listening. This is us communicating in a way that we can't do face to face right now. So I invite you to respond. Let's have a dialogue. Let's talk about this Proverbs 31 kind of woman. Let's talk about what God has called us women to be. And let's talk about, the women God's blessed us with. So again, thank you for tuning in. This has been Shana Stewart, Christopher Stewart, and Aiden Jones. We love you, but remember, God loves you best. We will see you next week. Look forward to a new installment coming up soon. We also want to make sure that you tune in on Sunday mornings or for our live Sunday morning broadcast. And every week we have a devotional. See you again soon. Take care.